All right, guys. So let's kick off. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you coming. Today is all about you guys. I'm going to help you guys make as much money as possible and the least amount of effort with a simple, straightforward system. Okay. I'm going to help you legally create a money printing machine. And I had to use something that was a bit kind of out there, because sales is actually not about skill. It's not about ability. It's not being a salesman or saleswoman. It's about metrics and numbers. It's mathematics. It's a simple equation of how we get our leads in, how we operate with percentages, and how we scale effectively as a result, right? So I'm going to show you some of the back end behind one of our very high ticket program that people pay multiple 5 figures for. So I'm going to be showing you everything inside there. I'll be giving you a ton of stuff as well that you can implement right now, okay? And this is whether you're a solo founder, whether you are a business owner, whether you are a sales rep or closer, you will be able to action this. You'll see exactly what is that path you need to do as a business owner, as a closer. And do you need a seller, closer, insert any person that can go and do something? Because this is what you need to do. This is how we can do it. And I'm going to show you how anyone and everyone can do it. We have many people that come work with us who are making $0 a month. And we start implementing a very simple process to managing all of their systems. And they're able to get their clients and you're able to scale with ease. Okay. So people think sales is sales calls. How do we get sales calls in? But as Shag said, you can have all these calls booked and a lot of it is garbage, right? People also think that it's going to be made with just getting as much leads as possible, but it's the back end that leads to the front, right? It's all that back end work you do. A lot of you guys are like into the gym and whatnot. As you know, most of your fitness is 90% nutrition, right? It's the stuff you do behind the scenes that gives you the result and the outcome that you want. So I want to show you this kind of connective tissue because I'll walk through some of my background in a second, but the content you create is great. The marketing you create is great. The sales process, but it's all one, right? There's a simple process that I want to show you guys. But who am I? And why am I here telling you to do this, right? And how am I going to walk you through this process? So for context, I've been in the space for 5 years. I have built 3 businesses before I was 24, and every single business went to zero. A tech startup, I ran events. I also had an e-commerce brand, and everything went to zero until I got into content. So at 24, 25, I started my podcast. I was this little nerd on the right-hand side, as you can see it. I was in my bedroom basement recording a bunch of podcasts, trying to speak to people. And I was growing my brand, kind of, slowly, with the help of some people even around here. But I wasn't making money. So what is the issue? Right? I didn't have a content issue. I had a business problem. And because of that, I had to fix what that offer was, what that sales process was, and what the conversion mechanism was in the delivery. Okay. And only allowing to do that allowed me to build my podcast, build my content engine. We developed our agency in the beginning, which became a media company. We work with your favorite influencer, all of your favorite podcasts and YouTubers in the world. We do their back end. We do all their systems, sales. We run their sales teams. Then that built into our education business because we had a huge CRM of everyone that wanted to work with us, but just couldn't afford an agency at the time. So our education business has helped people go from 0 to 30K a month. And our next program goes from 30K to multiple 6 figures a month, because the process is exactly the same. So we were able to build multi 7-figure business. We're pacing around 4 million a year right now. We're on path to do 10 million in 2026. And the reason being is because how we actually care for our leads. And this is through the ecosystem that we've built. So the programs we have, the agencies we have, I've sold B2B, I've sold B2C, I've sold over $250,000 on a call. I've sold $2,000 on a call. We've done everything. So Connor, for yourself, who has an agency, I know the constraints you have. For people who have offers and programs, I know the constraint that you have. It feels like your hamster wheel. So we have a situation for everyone. But what is it? Why is it that we try to have this sales process, this system to convert people, and what actually is the mechanism? So everything that we do is part of leads, sales, delivery, and ascension. Okay? Leads on the front end, paid, organic, put your head out the window, scream, whatever you want to do to get people in the front door. But leads only brings you up halfway. Then we have our sales process, right? That we're going to need to keep it very clean and crisp. If you're running a 1 call close, 2 call close, 3 call, it doesn't even matter, right? And then we have our delivery mechanism. For a lot of you guys who are running agencies, you are constrained on the delivery straight up, which allows you to do things. You asked a question a minute ago about urgency. You have an inherent constraint around delivery. So if I'm on a call with someone and they say, I want to get started next month, it's like, look, We can only work with 3 people a month because of the constraints we have, like universally. As a result of that, if you want to put down a down payment now, that'd be fantastic. We actually reward people who take action. So the program is our offer is usually 5K a month. It can be 4K for the first 3 months, 4K a month if we get moving today. So we need to understand a concept called a theory of constraints. My entire life is based off the theory of constraints. Where is the constraint in this process, and what do we need to fill? If you are running an agency, you have an inherent delivery problem. If you have an info-only product, you have a leads problem right now. We're doing 4 million a year, and our biggest constraint is leads. We just need more leads in the front end because we have a sales team of 6 people. We have a delivery process in the back. We have a scalable delivery model. But the first question you need to ask yourself, and I want you guys to really think about this, is where is the constraint I have right now? As the boys are saying, if your close rate is 10%, 100% you have a sales issue, but we need to diagnose it and almost remove the emotion, right? The beautiful part about what we tried to do and where we really kind of went from that 1.2 million a year to 4 million a year was actually having a closer look at the data. Because I have a leadership team, a C-suite team, I have a middle management team, and I have an execution layer team of reps and, editors, operators, and so on. Everything is tracked. I mean, like how many breaths to take in a day is tracked because we can objectively look at here is the issue you have and here's what we can do. I have closers coming to me telling me that they're burnt out based on their numbers. And I knew it. I know something's going wrong, but they'll come to us and say, I'm at 18% this month. The average is 30% right now in the team. I need to take a break, right? Because we're booking up a ton of calls with them. We put a lot of white space on the calendar. Our reps take calls 7 days a week. We don't take any days off because every day people want to get started, right? So the beautiful part about this is we know that we can track our stuff, we can have our volume, and we know where the constraint actually is, right? Because this is the thing. If you're a solo founder right now and you're doing this on your own, we still need to hit what we call our laps, right? Our leads, appointments, presentations, sales. So if you guys want to make like 1 or 2 agency clients a month, bring in 1 or 2 agency clients a month, let's say that's 2 clients a month. If we know that we can close at 20%, we're going to need, there's 10 calls that we're going to need to take. If we know we have 70% show rate, we need 15 calls, okay? If we have 70% show rate, we know we need to speak to ideally 50 new conversations a day, right? So this is the whole logic, which is, why am I not growing? Why am I not scaling? Why am I not growing my business? It's because you're not hitting the front end. It's all to do with the front end. So whether it's paid or organic. So we care for like every single lead as if like our entire life depends on it. So if we're creating content on LinkedIn, on Instagram, doing, let's say, ManyChat automations on Instagram, every single lead is cared for. But we're trying to hit this target every single day of 50 new messages, 50 follow-ups a day. And you might think, this is so much. That's when you introduce a setter, okay? The boys made a great observation about closers earlier, that closers basically can like make or break your business. A closer is the most expensive position in your business. Let me say that again. A closer is the most expensive position. Does anyone know why? Because the second you have a closer and they're not closing, you're just losing all of that cash. So yes, you don't pay them, but you pay them in the long run. A setter in comparison, SDR, someone on the front end, and this is where we put in sales reps in people's teams, right? So we train them, we deploy them, and we put them in. This is your insurance policy because the setter will do the work that you're not doing because you're so focused back here on delivery. If you're a founder, and if you're especially an info product owner, I run one of the programs myself. I literally run the program on my own. The other program that we run is run by our team. I am focused on the delivery of that. So on the front end, on the lead side, we need reps because what's going to happen is people will go through the program, they'll either ascend or finish, right? Just chill. And then we'll have a leads issue. Whereas the setter in this example, or you guys, this is your insurance policy. So as you're creating content, and Lara will walk through how to create amazing content, when we have that, we need to be really hitting those leads. I mean, who's liking the post, who's commenting the post, who's engaging, who are the same people, right? Because sales, I'll say, is very like dating, right? There's like, people make a gesture, they show interest, but unless you send a message, no one's going on the date. And this is a big unlock, right? Which is, there's a lot of guys sitting in your pipeline right now who are always engaging with you, who just need to take the next step, right? And the ironic part about this is a lot of these guys don't even need calls. We do a lot of things sold by chat. So our setters will do a lot of things by sold by chat because they're able to get the lead flow in the door. And this is the big kind of unlock, right? So we have a lot of people who come into us and they're doing $0 a month. And the most important part is fixing the offer in the beginning. So having like a true no-brainer offer. So whether that's info, agency, whatever that unique mechanism it is, and whatever that weird thing is that creates you a category of one, then the content that we create creates the ecosystem for them to come in. And we really, really want that scalable backend. So some of you guys are running programs as well as running an agency. That was a big unlock for us because we only run one funnel, which is hilarious. It's just one funnel that comes in. It's a VSL. We book a call. And then the question becomes, what do you want? Where do you want to go? And our offer, quite simple, is we help business owners make money with content. So we can do it for you. We can do it with you if you're in the beginning or in a scale-up phase, or if you want to get it done for you. So this really flips the entire script because then we can go back to doing what we do best, which for me, I just create YouTube videos. I run around the world and just record podcasts. I create LinkedIn posts and I create Instagram Reels. Go ahead.
Then what is the ascension side of it? First.
Fantastic question. So within our company Voix, we have Core, which is our agency. So our agency is full done for you. And we have ideally targeting 8-figure founders. So 7 to 8-figure founders, and we're helping them scale with content for the most part. And we'll do some of their systems and their backends and their offers. But full transparency, if you're making 8 figures a year, you kind of don't need my help a little bit, right? You're kind of like, you kind of have a system working. We have some companies that work with are doing like 9 figures a year, and we just help them with their lead magnets and their content. But then our info product is helping guys that are 6 figures, right? Go to mid 6 figures a year. We created, it's called the incubator. A lot of guys ascended or finished it within 3 or 4 months. So we were signing 25 clients a month, okay, into that program, which is like it's a lot of heaviness on the front. These guys were coming in, they were getting to their 20K or 30K a month, and they just felt no need to join the program anymore. And I felt that they didn't need to join anymore because they'd gone through the cycle. So we created a back-end offer, which is called Apex, which is helping people go from 30K a month to say 300K a month. We had 3 people hit $1 million in annual recurring revenue last month because those people need one of 2 things. That was such a good question. They need sales reps because they've kind of winged it to 20K a month, and now they just put in a setter to just scale, okay? Because they didn't do it. This is the whole thing. It's kind of like if you're overweight and if you just walk, you'll just lose weight, because they just didn't do the thing. So a lot of guys might have really good content like Lara, but they don't have a connective tissue. So the first thing is just the sales reps. And then the second thing is the offer. We do like an ecosystem. So we build micro offers inside there. So that offer Apex allows people to ascend. And the reason why this is really, really important is because offers and agencies, it's all a commodity. Everything's a commodity. It's all about how can we vertically integrate someone. So if I speak to someone, I'm like, hey, dude, I want to work with you guys for the next couple of years. So whether we coach you or whether we do it for you, I want to see what vertical integration is. So within the Ascension, if people come into Apex, we have a sales program for them. So it's what outer component can you give your clients to give them additional resources and just get better help. Also, what we have inside of our programs is we have a lot of tools, custom GPTs that we built. I'm currently in the process of building a software business as well at the moment. So it's like people come in and they get the result as fast as possible because we help business owners make money with content. If I told you could lick the window and you get leads, someone's going to do it. The mechanism modality is actually irrelevant. It's like truly irrelevant, whether it's a cold outreach, ads. We have the same reps on Instagram as we do on LinkedIn. It's such a limiting belief that LinkedIn and Instagram are different. It's just human that wants goal. It's like, oh, but this person's a professional. There's also professionals on Instagram. Instagram can be a bit of a smokescreen for sure, right? But I mean, once the messaging is dialed in, we're using SalesNav, you're right. But ideally, we're not, like, this is the thing is that if you have organic content coming in, you don't actually need SalesNav. This is the thing. It's like, why are we going to cold traffic when you're getting 50 likes in your post? If there's 35 people in this room, imagine 50 people in this room. It's like, why can't we just care for those people? Okay. And then we're just doing a soft opener, which is like, hey, Connor, thank you for supporting my post. I'm trying to grow my LinkedIn profile. How's everything coming along with your agency? And then pain, problem, duration of problem, process, book call in or sell by chat, So we've built that brand equity. So then it's like, you want to call? I don't take calls, but we take calls with our reps. We can put you on a call. But I take like 2 calls a month, basically, if I really, really want to or need to. Well, I had a call with a very famous podcaster yesterday who's quitting his podcast. And the whole logical reason why he was quitting his podcast is because he was creating content for someone else on YouTube. And I've had a podcast for 5 years. And before he quit, I said, look, man, Like all you need to do is create a series on YouTube that documents what your offer is. So we have a series on YouTube called Build With Me. This is real secret sauce now. That's objection handling videos. So every single video I have under Build With Me is an objection that came up in a sales call that we run back into our transcripts. And then my creative director is like, you got to record this video. And then I just dance on screen for a bit and I record a video. And then we use that objection handling video to send back to prospects. Because someone might say, I don't know how to make money with content. And I'm like, we have a video that says how to make money with content. We would send them that video. And then they're pre-handled. And then on top of that, then as well, when someone books a call with us, we call it the indoctrination flow. So they book a call, they go through the application process. We can get into that too. When they book a call, they go to a thank you video. Thank you video says, on the call, we will give you an offer. You can accept or reject. You can decline the call right now, but we're pre-framing it. And then they'll get 10 videos in the next 24 hours that are 10 YouTube videos. So it's going to be our model, our mechanism, my origin story, how I went from like Ireland to building a business, all this kind of stuff. And then it's all case study, you know? So I actually have a testimonials channel too that we leverage as well. It gets like 7 views, but it gets 7 views of people that want to come and work with us. So
what was you said you got this like full 110 YouTube. What was the first thing you sent them?
So we have a thank you video and a thank you video, right? Which basically pre-handles and presets. It presets people. So what it says is like, thank you so much for working a call. We're going to help you basically grow your business with content. Just like we helped Jerry. Jerry used to be working in 9 to 5 and now he's built this.
Is that on YouTube or is it just like a Loomy thing that you sent?
It could be a Loom, but he put it on a landing page, right? So put it on a landing page. Yeah, just put call. I'm joking. I'm joking. So I have it. Yeah, I'll send it on to. So that will just preset people. And then fantastic question. Okay. So when people go through this process where they come through, we do the setting, we have the LinkedIn content and so on. And then they book a call, they go through the indoctrination flow. Our first question on the call, do you know what it is? No. What questions do you have about the program? Because if you got to that point, we already know where you are. And also because of the indoctrination flow, we know how much money you're making. So we know if you're a better fit for Core, which is the agency, or the program. For program is just for people that just want to figure things out. So the first thing we say is, what questions do you have with the program? And someone's always like, I need to know when the calls are, like, when's this? Because they already know. But they already know, you know? Yeah, so it's just like, it's pre-handling, like all objection handling, right? And of course, we need to sort of price and so on and so forth. But they already understand, this is interesting. We've already skipped pain because they know that there's a process. And then we'll go back and find pain, find the problem, find out how long the problem is, re-qualify financially, get self-admission, realize that they have a problem, realize that we're the only person that can solve the problem. And then it's like, okay, this is how the calls work and so on and so forth. But I mean, that's when all of this sales cycle goes down. And now that we're selling into cold, it's a little bit more challenging because people haven't really followed me as much, but it's still the same stuff, right? Which is like, they see a lot of the things and it's kind of like kind of get better vibe, right? Like our sales reps are like, we're getting lots of cold people booked in. It's like, get better, like a small bit, right? There is a bit of tough love has to come in as well. It's like, you know, not everyone can just book calls off 5 years of someone following you, right? Like you're in a luxury position to begin with. Yeah. So let's say we connect on LinkedIn and I say, hey, how's everyone coming along with your program or what you're doing right now? You're saying it's fantastic. Having a few issue with leads right now. I'm like, okay, so what's the problem? Oh, we can't get new leads because we don't have any content. Oh, that's interesting. How long has it been a problem for? About 6 months. Why is it a problem? I'm afraid to get on camera. Interesting. Why are you afraid to get on camera? Oh, it's actually because a little bit kind of insecure about this and so on. Oh, okay. We've had other examples, just like Elise. She was also afraid to do it. Do you mind if I share the case study? We had a YouTube video. They're like, damn, this is like hits home, same demographic, maybe same age group, maybe same gender, whatever. Just people buy from people that are the same as them, right? Relatable likeness. So it's like, all right, based on everything you told me, we can definitely help you. Do you want to have a chat with our CSM or our sales reps? It's like, yes, ready to go. So we already have problem, pain, and then duration, which is the most important part. How long has been a problem? They'll book a call in. Through that process, then they'll go through the flow. One question is like, what problems do you have? It's an empty text field. And then they'll rip on that, which the problem is. For BizOp offers, they actually don't rip as much. We do a lot of personal development offers and people flood their life into it, which is, you know, you got to be cautious too, right? You got to be very, you know, elegant with how you're doing that. And then we're basically finding out as well their financial situation, where do you want to get to financially? And if you wanted to put in savings, you can put in there too. So that's when we know which their best offer for, because if they're saying they're making 10K a month, we're not going to sell them a really high ticket program, right? Or a 75K agency offer. And the last question then is like, why do you feel called to work with Darren and Voix? Which is like, oh, I've been following you guys for a while. We chatted in DM. We had this issue with leads. That's what we want to get solved. So we had to open up and say, what questions do you have with the program? Yeah, I know you were chatting. You said you had this issue and so on and so forth. And to your boy's point earlier, yes, there's a script, but we know that this is the problem. Like, this is the problem. And under the theory of constraints, all the other stuff doesn't matter. And this is why selling to beginners is actually kind of more harder than selling to business owners, because business owners have a problem with it. Consumers have a problem with everything. They have problems everywhere. They have an issue with content and an offer and the sales process. Whereas a business owner, we can say, yes, you're not creating YouTube videos, but the leads is the issue. And because we're not potatoes, we know that the leads is an issue because your offer sucks. So it's kind of tough love, but we do a lot of consultative selling, which is, I had a call last night. I told the guys, I was told that this call was about building an offer. So I get on this call and I'm like, here's how we build you guys an inner circle offer. And I gave him like the pitch and stuff. And then the guy came back and he said, we don't have time to do it. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. But they had this problem of delivery. They wanted us to help them build an offer. And then it turned out didn't have time for it. So then we said, look, we can do it for you, which is a different offer. And then we went down the agency route for them because we still solved the problem. But they had an issue with time and capacity. But they told me it was this issue. But that was a smokescreen. That wasn't the issue. That's the issue where you're not making money. But under theory constraints, it was actually a time issue.
Logistically, for the kind of indoctrination club, so you've like that series on YouTube. Is that like that series on YouTube? You're hitting them with emails all the time to like.
Their emails. Yeah. So funnily enough, I learned this from Brooke Hiddink, which is he runs around $500,000 worth of cold traffic to a VSL, and then they book a call. He books around 50 calls a day, and they do 10 emails in a day. That's where I learned this from. Hiddink. I do 10 emails in a day. Mm-hmm. So, and then the whole logic is, well, what if they get scared and they cancel the call? It's like, well, they were not going to bite. So it's just like, what, you know, and it's interesting because it's kind of like, there's a bit of like laws and energy flow, and it's a bit kind of like woo-woo, but it's true, right? Like, why are we taking calls of people that are not going to buy, right? Like, what's the mental framework there? Like, a lot of our new reps that come in, they're like, how many calls are going to get a week? I'm like, why do you want to take a load of calls? I want to give you 6 qualified calls and 30 unqualified calls. One of my close friends, like very, 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 very famous influencer, they're booking like 200 calls a day, and they're all unqualified. I'm like, dude, why are you doing this to yourself? And they're paying sellers based on book calls. Another issue. Go ahead, Connor.
So like within those emails, I might just book a call just actually to see it, but like.
Sure. Maybe Tuesday.
So like, do you like kind of, are they really short emails, like very little copies, or just trying to drive them to the YouTube kind of thing?
Yeah, and then it might tell the story too if you don't want to watch the video, you know? So one, it could be a case study, one could be a story, one could be my story, and so on and so forth. And then again, like people that are, for us, get into video content, they're going to be more video oriented anyway. Like I'm a visual learner, I can't read, right? I'm dyslexic, so I need to watch it to see it does work.
Is your YouTube, so you said you have different channels? So you have
no, same channel, different playlists.
Different playlists.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's all public?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's an interesting point because a lot of people are like, oh, the testimonials should be unlisted. Because create a channel, create a testimonial channel, that's a separate channel, agreed, but leave them public. Because if they get more views, they're like, oh, what is that guy doing? And then there's a book a call funnel underneath, you know? So it's like, it's just free awareness, right? Because I got to pay for everything, right? So this is free. Does that make sense?
Do you want to have an email sequence only for people to book a call, or do you also have it for, let's say, newsletter?
Yeah, for newsletters. So yeah, exactly. Awesome. Cool. So let's just keep pacing on this for a second. So SDR, you, whoever it is, your mom, your sister, this is what we're going to do. We do need to start hitting our connection requests and our flow, right? Because we want to get into a stage whereby we have so many circulating leads that if things don't get closed or they don't get booked in or they don't, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because what you guys said earlier, which is you want with or without you energy. Whatever happens, we're going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. Like, dude, we're booking like 10 calls a day, right? So if someone comes in, they're like, sell to me. I'm like, dude, you booked a call. We're chilling. Like, this is for you. This isn't for me. Because we have circulating leads. If we're hitting per SDR around 100 outreaches a day, and we have 2 or 3 of them, we are just always going to make money. And we see this how like this makes it calmer, right? I feel that people don't track their sales reps because it's so, their sales process is because it's a lack of control. It's kind of like why people don't look at their bank account or people don't track their weight, because they look at it and they think, they're afraid of it, right? But if you start tracking how much our daily inputs are, we'll be able to be like, okay, I know under the theory of constraints that if I can hit these numbers, I will statistically check out. Like statistically. So no matter if you take the calls or like a random person takes the calls, statistically, we under the theory of constraints, we're just going to do better than what we did. And this was the big blow up for us, right? And this is the thing that we roll out. We have many sales teams that we run. I track all the P&Ls. I do everything. I do all of that stuff myself personally, even though I have a team of 25 people, but I actually just love the numbers more so in a weird way. That to this point, that's all we're tracking continuously. Then we get to the next stage in the cycle. And you guys did this very well, but we need the leads coming in the front. So much velocity that when they're being booked, we can see how much calls are being booked, how much calls are being cancelled. Huge red flag as well. Loads of cancel calls. Sellers not doing their job. How much people not showing up. You talked about show rate earlier. So our show rate is in around 85% because we do a few things. We have the indoctrination flow, which is great. And then we do a triage on WhatsApp. So you can have a VA, a setter, whoever it is, do a WhatsApp triage, which is like, hey, Elise, like, thank you so much for booking the call. Before you come to the call, please watch this thank you video. Make sure you click confirm on your video, and then they say, yeah, thank you so much, or they might not respond. And then we'll hit them with an origin story, which is my origin story, how I went from X to Y. And it's like, watch this video. So no one is like, there's no ambiguity here. But the way that our brand is built is a lot of guys have booked calls now that actually don't know me because everything we run is under Voix, the company. So that's a blessing and curse at the same time. But then we can get to the point whereby when they are on the calls, we know exactly where they are in their journey. Okay. So reps improve, you improve, the sales process improves significantly. And then I am absolutely all over this every second of the day. So all that I care about is velocity, right? Mathematics, the metrics, it's all that I care about. So are we hitting all of our daily inputs? All the daily inputs are the sellers, the closers showing up, and are we doing weekly drillings, right? So I know you guys mentioned that you do like a few days a week. We meet every day of the week. I would meet on the weekends if you guys wanted to be honest. Because on Monday, we set our intentions. And this is like part of visualization, it's part of everything, right? How much do you want to close? How much do you want to make? What do you want to do? All right, we want to close 8 people this week. And bear in mind, we will do 30, 40K regularly a day, right? The only reason why we're not like at $1 million a month is because we have a bit of fluctuation. Like people don't sell on weekends and stuff, which is why we're trying to sell 7 days a week. So if we want to hit 30K, 40K a day, how much do we need to sell? What programs do we need to sell? Also, what sponsorships we need to sell? Because we run like big sponsorships. We're not just like a chop shop, right? So we know how much money we want to make a day. How do we reverse engineer that? So under laps, leads, appointments, which is book calls, presentations, show rate, and sales. What is the numbers? And then on Fridays, we review the number. So I've kind of analyzed and went through a lot of David Dre's coaching. He was head of sales for Sam Ovens. The biggest thing that they do is to see how delirious your sales team are. Like how delusional are you? In a good and a bad way. If you're up here on Friday and you look back at the numbers and you're at 70% of what you expected to make, so we'll try to do like anywhere between like 150 to 200K a week. If we only do 100K in a week, we're off by 50%. So who's wrong? Like where objectively, not pointing your fingers at people, can we say, okay, the leads is wrong, the sales calls are wrong, like what's wrong here, right? How can we review this? And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're reviewing stuff, usually DMs or objection handling that's coming up on calls. I'll show you how to review your calls. And then on Wednesday, we're doing product training because the success of your business is based on your product effectively, right? So we want the product to be getting better. What sort of things that can I do? I generally just kind of like go meet people, do a lot of partnerships and so on for our programs to see can they get additional support so that we can get higher success. Because let's take a step back. Under ascension and getting more leads is a big part of our success, right? Every single day, I want to wake up and see our clients getting paid in fulls. Like I hammer our marketing team every day. I want you to deliver to our marketing assets every single day, numerous people getting paid in fulls because we'll get more leads and sales. So again, the quality of our program dictates the quality of the leads that we come in. And then in terms of like, how do we actually track this? So we track literally everything, our outbound, our reply rate, our calls booking, our show rate, close rate, revenue per call, and LTV and CAC. Who doesn't know what this is? Okay, amazing. So The only thing that matters to scale your business is how much money do you make versus how much it costs to acquire a customer, right? So let's say your lifetime value is $5,000. Let's say $3,000, keep it simple, okay? And it involves $1,000 to get that client in the door, okay? So that is everything front end of the marketing. Your ads, your content, or you also have a cost, you have an effective hourly rate, okay? As well as any marketing expenses and sales commission. So let's just say it costs you $1,000 to get a client and you're making 3,000. That's a 3-to-1 LTV to CAC. That means we can scale it because then we're making, for every dollar we spend, we effectively make $3 back. This is how we create the infinite money glitch, right? It's because we know that we can scale the hell out of it. Ours is 11-to-1. Bear in mind. So we just need to hammer the front end and then just all the numbers check out. The numbers will always check out. That's the thing. If you're tracking it, they'll always rebalance. Every single month, they'll always rebalance. So we know we can push really hard on the front end marketing, because the back end scalable, we have 6 CSMs right now for 150 clients in total, 6 CSMs. So whether it's design, operations, sales, offers, marketing, like that's why we do full spectrum for context. And then,
and sorry, that means churn doesn't really matter for you guys at all then.
we don't really get churn.
Yeah.
Because in the programs, people do their 6 months. So they do 6 months for Apex, 6 months for Incubator. And then to stay in is $1,000 a month for Apex and it's about $800 for Incubator. So people either, so this is interesting. So with or without energy means at the end of the program, we have a nice civil conversation. And here's what you can do. You can ascend and move up to Apex and we'll give you like some payment plans or whatever. You can stay in or you can leave and we can stay friends. And then people are like, okay, fine, you know? And then with the agency, then as long as they're making money, they're going to stay. Because we're an outsourced marketing department. We just do it all. They're like, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, sure. Can you run ads? Yeah, sure. Like we just run, like we don't run the ads, but we do the creatives and stuff because we're doing editing. So I'm like, yeah, we'll do the ads, whatever. Because think about it, right? If you have nothing, if you do something, you're going to do better. Like that's the logic. That's how I was kind of like, yeah, let's just do it. Fuck it. Let's just do it, you know? And then again, like under the tier of constraints, we need to ask better questions, right? As a sales rep or whatever you're doing, you ask better questions. Where are the leaks, right? In the front end marketing? Where are all the objections that we're getting? Is the pipeline up to date? Is the CRM up to date? Like, you know, I always say to our sales manager, CSMs, as you bring in new people underneath, because I have a leadership level now, it's like, if anyone comes in and they want to like impress me, you have to track your numbers. Just, if you come and you know your numbers, we're going to get on like a house on fire. The second things start falling down, you're not going to last long. Unfortunately, we've never had people leave the company ever because they come in, we teach them, we coach them, we do a lot of like personal development with them too. But the main thing to do is every single person tracks their numbers. And I don't care if you're an editor, if you're a designer, I don't care. We track everything. And then even things like this, like the cadency for how we're coaching, like how are we coaching internally, how are we coaching externally? And it's kind of basically you get better at coaching by coaching, right? So all of our programs are ran by our agency team members too, because why are you asking me how to run a thumbnail when we have a design team of 6 thumbnail designers? Cool. And then again, back to what I just literally just said, the tracking, the coaching, and then the accountability, because I think this is really interesting, right? Because with AI right now and your sales process, I think AI has the biggest impact in sales versus anything else because it's objective, right? It looks at the objection handling. You screwed that up again. Because before you needed a sales manager to review it, but now we can just run all the transcripts into ChatGPT. YouTube, as you made a great point, it's like, it's great, right? I think there's a bit of a overemphasis. Someone who's created YouTube videos for 5 years, I can tell you that like, you know, not everything is a silver bullet. But what YouTube is really good for is just top of funnel awareness. And then we want to use Instagram and LinkedIn to get people to acquire, right? So YouTube awareness, Instagram, YouTube for acquisition, your product for retention, and then your ecosystem for ascension. And I think when we run this model, we get people pre-sold, pre-framed, and then fully qualified. You know, and our best customers are marketing examples for other customers, right? They come in and they get a great experience because then this is how we can run all of our transcripts, how we can run it all back in, okay? So if you want to go a bit deeper on my sales process, I want to be conscious of time, of course, right? And I want to be respectful for other people too. But we run our calls quite similar to, I guess, like, you know, how everyone else runs their calls. But when we're running our transcripts back in, the AI prompts that I gave you guys will break this up section by section. So the discovery phase, the temperature checks phase, the process, how do we stop down to the pitch? How do we figure out the pitch? Finding a nice kind of example here, looking at objection handling, and then looking at all the pacing and everything afterwards. Because the biggest thing if you're reviewing your calls is that you never want to repeat a bad mistake twice. right? So if you have an issue we have an issue right now with one of our clients that the woman is just continuously dropping down to the lower ticket tier instead of just holding strong on like the 6K offer, just continuously dropping down. So you make the mistake, we correct the mistake, we analyze the mistake, and we make sure you don't make the mistake with us. And I think as we bring in reps, our goal in the beginning is to get them ramped up as hard as possible. Like I want to put you under pressure. I want you to feel fire, right? I don't want you to be like, it's okay. You need to feel that pain to be ramped in 10 days. So in 10 days, you're ready to go on calls. After 10 days, you then get a 20 call trial. And then your close rate is approximate to everyone else on the team. I'll give you an example. If it's 30%, let's say your team's close rate for that month, which is obviously super high, you want to see the delta between new closer and that. Because for whatever reason, the month could be bad with leads. You could have got cancelled, whatever, right? So we got to make sure that it's pacing correctly. And then we make an objective decision based on that, what we're going to do with you as a result. And then we bring you in as a full-time employee and so on and so forth. Because again, the ability for us to analyze is the ability for us to make the most amount of success, right? And I think the tighter we can keep this feedback loop from marketing and sales, we actually run our marketing with our sales team because they should be the same. They're in the same conversations, the same thing. We have 10 people in the marketing team or something like that, and then we have like 6 reps. So we want to make sure that is very, very tight because again, it's not even a skill thing. It's actually going to be a numbers thing. And one nice thing as well to do, even for yourself, I can go back and add this into the kind of gift that I gave you, is having a skills tracker. So I've been coached by a lot of the big sales guys. And the biggest thing is that sales reps have an ego and they want to learn and they're competitive. So you run our teams like a sports team. We go to war with each other because we all only make money when we make money, right? Like none of us do bases, including me. And I want to teach our sales reps how to be entrepreneurs. So I don't want to give them a base. I want them to learn about outcomes, not inputs. So as a result of that, we have a skills tracker. So every week a rep would have one particular skill. It could be like objection handling. It could be volume. It could be whatever. And it's just a tracker. And then we track against it. And it's a nice thing for them to learn. You might want to move it to a monthly cadence. Doesn't really matter. But like, this is how we keep amazing people. And just for context, we have a rep that was making $150 a month in Vietnam. And now he's on pace to do 10K a month. And he's 19 years old. So kind of no excuses, right? This guy doesn't speak English. You need to teach him English. And he's like learning my language. Yeah, So it's like, it's kind of possible, right? And like, this is where it's kind of like anyone can do it.
So just a quick one there. You're saying marketing and sales are together. I mean, they're in the same feedback loop calls.
Yeah. Because our head of client success is also in these calls. And then we also have a creative director that's in there too. So we might be like, we want to run content. Like what we're doing right now is we want to run more in real life content. Who's the best at this? What are the formats? Is it street? Is it presentation? Is it me as a guest, as a podcast, and so on? What does that look like, and how do we feed that into everybody else?
So you have obviously this is your process to get clients to you, and then you have to deliver on almost the same thing for clients.
Not necessarily.
What do you do for your client?
We run their YouTube, so we do we have a content agency for YouTube and podcasts. Okay.
Help get leads to help get.
Yeah. But then we do full end-to-end cycle. So there's offers, leads. Offers, content, sales. So if you come in and you have an issue with your content, we focus on the content, but 90% of people have an offer problem, like full transparency. And this is consultative selling. If someone comes in and say they don't get leads and they're like, I'm putting all this content on LinkedIn, it's not your LinkedIn because like you can get to like 80%. It's your offer. So like people have very like arbitrary kind of like BS offers. So they're like, pie in the sky, like, do X, Y, Z. Whereas we need to get very granular with that. So part of our programs, whether they're making 5K a month or 100K a month, is what's the offer? How do we get people into that ecosystem? How do we have an amazing offer? What's the content that we need to create to hammer that offer? So all of our content is actually just parts of the offer. Okay. And then the sales process then is clean, crisp, whatever that may be. So we do the 1 call close, we do the 2 call close. We do what's necessary, not what's asked of us, right? That's the big thing.
Offer and product that's the same thing really, like.
Yeah, effectively, yeah. But the offer is what we give someone, right? And I think just one part on like the urgency that you mentioned earlier is like we do on the call pricing. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So our program is like 8K, but then on the call it's 6K. And if someone's like, why is it that? I was like, it's because my business. I can also say it's 100K, So it's like, we're not doing like tire kicker stuff. We're not doing like sending over the emails and stuff like this. It's like, look, you have the offer. Here's a Google Doc too if you want to review it and put it in the chat. But like, here is the offer. It's 6K today. It's 8K off the call. It's 4K or 4.5K split. It's 3K 4-way split or something like that, whatever, right?
Is that recommended to do we have a high, high price, but today for you, if you do it X, it's
We just do on the call. Yeah. So it's like, because the whole logic is if there's pain process price. So the pain is there. We've all self-admitted that you can't solve that problem yourself. That's why you're on the call. Okay. Process, you're fully wanted the process, temperature check, 9 and 10 out of 10, you're happy with the process. This is the price. Okay. You told me on your application form, you don't have an issue with price because you're making X amount of money. You told me earlier that we pre-handled the objection. There's no decision maker or anyone else involved. So is this a smokescreen, ideally, or is there a different objection? It's like, I actually have a question with the offer again. Okay, let's go back. Right. We have an hour. Let's go back. You know,
At the end of the day, however good the offer is, if you're not actually making people money, it's kind of an empty offer. This is a lot of time it's the product.
well, yeah, this is a personal story, which is we help people with content for 4 years. And then we'd have these huge YouTube channels and people were like, well, how do I make money? And I'm like, dude, you just need like a funnel. And then we had to like teach them offers. And then we had to like teach them sales. And because I've taken 1,000 sales calls just myself, I'm like, yeah, you don't say this on a sales call, you know? And then I had gone through sales programs myself as well. And then I ended up coaching my own team and stuff, you know? So what I'm trying to say is, this is why I said the theory of constraints, because when someone says something they have a problem, it's 90% not correct. Because the thing, if you knew your problem, you wouldn't be on this call. So they say they have a problem. So I'll give you an example. If someone is overweight, they say they have overweight symptom, but the underlying issue could be like, they could be self-conscious, right? So it's like, oh, you have this massive limiting belief. You don't want to go to the gym. Let's go for a walk in the park instead. Does that make sense? Like the symptom is not the problem. The root cause is the problem. So we need to, and that's consultative selling, which is I'll sit on a call with someone for an hour and a half. I'm like, I don't think you have this problem. Like, oh, like I really appreciate that. So let's work on this, you know? Cool. So of course we're doing a lot of Q&A as we do this, but again, that's that guide that I told you. I'll actually add in, what did I need to add in? I had to add in something. I'll add in something else. But yeah, it's just like a few things there that we just give, and like people pay like a lot of money for this stuff. I have a simple tracker and I have a more elaborate one as well. So yeah, happy to take any questions on this.
Quick just on how you run feedback loops. So within your sales process, when you're doing outbound messages, you have your calls and stuff like that. What do you do like specific feedback loop? Like what pieces of the process do you do specific feedback loops on? So I can say, all right, message quality, message cadence, like whole, like what are like the specific pieces on the process that you do feedback on?
So we set up initially, which everyone has good standards. So the Sell by Chat framework I showed you guys in that doc has like, let's say, how you should approach the openers and so on and so forth. And then the reason why sales is so difficult is because it's very volatile and it's very variable. So unlike editing a video where you just get a podcast, you just chop it up, you need to have EQ and emotional intelligence, and also you need to know who you're selling to, right? So if it's a very logical buyer like me, like I will not like wait on calls for stuff. I'll just buy things. Whereas if it's someone who's a little bit more insecure and needs a bit more help, we need to identify that. So we need to understand, like, firstly, like who we're selling to. And then if we're not getting leads, we're looking at that's the problem. So the symptom is not we're getting leads. The root cause, again, under tier constraints, is the messaging sucks. So then the seller, as long as they're not a potato, they will say, well, we were doing this and it wasn't working. And it's like, okay, let's try this. And then it's like kind of there's no attachment to it, right? It's like, we did this and it didn't work. Okay, what are you going to do about it, right? And I just had a podcast with Rory Sutherland, and Rory Sutherland argues that like 99% of your marketing is BS. He's like, it's only 1% that actually hits it, but we should almost discount the 99%. Because the 99% was there to give us the 1%. So if a sales rep is saying loads of trash, it's the reps he needs to do. It's the evolution that he needs to do to get there, right? So if you look at like a Hormozi or Iman, like the way their videos were created, back in the day, they were obviously like, they were terrible, right? They're the reps we need to do in silence, but sales is very like on the cusp, right? It's the front of the business. So setting up those guardrails and then looking at the symptomatics. So you guys put it perfectly at the end, which is like, you got 10% close rate. Like that's not an issue with leads, right? Because it would have been flagged pre-call that the lead wasn't qualified. So if the guy is qualified and he's on calls and at 10%, you just have a closing issue, which is fine. We just work on problem, right? We objectively work on problem. I'll just frequently call my reps at like, 7 or 8 p.m. on a Saturday night. Like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about this? I have an issue with this. Awesome, right? And like people care when you care, and I think that's how we have really good retention.
Sick. That's class.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So for the cheers.
No, you have a
For
question.
messaging.
Yeah.
Would you position your offer with the root problem or the actual just like surface level problem that someone might just think they have? For example, low close rates, or is it because you're
not taking care of objection.
So we teach people sales. And what I always say is like when they come in, they want to make more money. And I'm like, we're going to help you make more money, which is outcome, but you have a skill issue. So when we stop working together in 6 months, you will have the skill that I teach you for the rest of your life. And I asked them, how valuable is that to you? They're like, incredibly valuable. Great. Right? Because then I'm able to identify what actually is that they have. They have a skill gap. We can teach them how to build offers, marketing, and sales. Like I have a software company right now working with us, and they have an amazing product. They're doing AI agency stuff, and they're crushing it. And I bring them leads from like my network. So all these guys are 8-figure founders, but the guy can't close the door to save his life. So I'm just teaching him sales. And he's paying me a lot of money. And I'm like, all you got to do is learn this, dude. Like, that's it. So he spent next year learning sales. You will learn this forever. And he's like in his 30s, right? He's 40, 50 years of work left. So I'll teach him sales for a year. Does that make sense? And he's like, amazing. And then he's just paying a lot of money. And it's like, amazing because he just knows he's buying skill, you know? So I like to say I sell money at a discount. You give me money, I'll give you back more money with the skill.
Got it. Okay, and like in the actual marketing itself, in the
Yep.
video, would you lead with the surface level problem that they're facing, or would you go to the deeper level problem when you first thought about it?
Again, the YouTube videos need to, can I have an example? Can you give me an example? Because we need to,
Yeah, I was just like thinking, if someone doesn't know their problem, because you said that, you know, some people don't really understand the root reason why their problem happens.
okay.
Would you target
Good point.
that audience and content and ads by talking about the problem that they think they have, or going right to the root reason?
Well, you need to look at the symptom first because people are not problem aware. This is a big issue with content, right? People are not problem aware, especially with sales reps. We actually have a bunch of sales clients, and sometimes it's terrible to get through to them, right? Because they have a high ego. So knowing that's the issue, we need to look at the symptom initially, which could be a low close rate, whatever that may be. And then it's like, new vehicle, new opportunity. Here's what you need to do to get there, right? And like we have some guys, even Christian that's speaking later, he does social selling. So he believes that the best way to sell is social selling on LinkedIn. That's just a mechanism, you know? I could call my thing like the window licking process, and someone's going to do it, right? So it's just mechanism, you know? So that's where it's interesting is like, yes, you need a new opportunity and so on for the most part. Like ours is called the ecosystem, which is like you want to scale your business with content. You can't just have one offer like an agency. You need to have multiple products, but you split them. And then everyone's like, oh, ecosystem, amazing. It's just a new opportunity. Like ours is actually a business model that we teach. We teach people a business model, basically.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I'm interested in the timeline for you with Voice, like how it went from, because I think you started mostly service-based, right? So like,
Yeah.
So like timeline of how it evolved into like the hype that it is now. Like how did all that happen, and like what gave you just like do a lot of coaches as well?
So, such a question. So we had the agency. I didn't even know what an agency was. So I was having a podcast. So I was having a podcast in 2020. And I was getting like loads of people that I would interview, say, hey, like, can you help us with our marketing and so on? And I would just do a simple like consulting thing. This is 2020, 2021. And I would just go in and just help them with their content. And I would come back a month later and no one would have done anything. And I said, like, dude, all you gotta do is edit the video. And I just had my own editors for my own podcast. And I said, look, I'll just do it for you. And you just pay me a retainer, like a monthly fee. And then we had like 4 or 5 clients, and then like 5 or 6 clients. And then I was making more money from that than my tech job. And then I left. So that was the agency. And then that worked really well. Obviously, like loads of issues, things were on fire 24/7. 2021, 2022, roughly. So because I had gone back to tech to build a tech company, and I went to raise capital, and I didn't get the money and all that stuff. Right? It was pre-blow up with the interest rates and stuff like this, without going too crazy. So I was trying to build a tech startup, couldn't build it, and I was trying to build a software company for stock trading. Anyway, so after that failed, like everything, went into this space, and then what happened there was we ran all these YouTube videos, YouTube channels and podcasts, and then we would run their back end because they would get loads of inbound requests for sponsorships. So I started running their sales process, and I would put in my own reps, and we'd run all the calls. So emails would come in, we'd set them, get on a call, close them. So then we take a percentages, we moved into a media company, and then the brands would give us a lump of money, and then we'd position it on the podcast. So that was more the media company. So then we had so much attention, we couldn't sign more clients because the clients would be either like bad clients or they would just be the 60-day client, which you don't want. So it was impossible to get it. So our TAM of targeting podcasters was only 30,000 people in the world. So all the marketing was super difficult to get right. And then we changed the positioning to helping business owners make money with content because we were attracting a lot of creators, and creators, like, as you can imagine, are a little bit fragile. So it's very tough to teach them sales. So then we weren't helping and I mean traditional influencers, let's say, not creators. So then we helped business owners make money with content. So that is a TAM of 300 million people or whatever, right? So the TAM is just huge. And then our head of education, Tom, he built the education business. We just turned all our Notion docs public and initially, and then we scaled the hell out of that. And then we actually built a program around that. And everyone finished, and then we built the next program. So that kind of brought us from like we started with like, we're doing like 500K a year, and then it brought us to like 800K, brought us to 1.2 mil, 1.5 mil, and then 4 mil from there. And now we're, well, hopefully 2026, we should do just over 10.
When were you flying?
2021? Yeah, 2021, 2022.
So that's tech service and then equity. So you're like kind of more the coaching stuff like 2023.
Roughly, yeah. But the reason why I did that is I met James Kemp, and James Kemp is a huge influence on me. And he just told me that basically in your agency right now, you do so much coaching, consulting, servicing. You ask people about their dogs, you ask people about their kids' piano lessons. If you unbundle that and if you just sell the coaching to people who can't buy the agency, you just make a ton of money. So I would just reset the people who who wanted the agency and said, look, I can't do it for you, but I can do it with you. They're like, yeah, let's go. So we sold like 30 or 40 people into the initial cohort. We used to do cohorts initially, and then I just wanted to do open coaching, and then I worked with people like Dickie Bush, Connor, and Daniel Fazio, as in like I learned from him. And Daniel Fazio said the person who can manage the most operational complexity will win. And I just knew that to be true because that's what he did. And that allowed us to scale really aggressively. And I think now we need to book around 300 calls a month, roughly, to get to 1 million a month. So we're booking like 10 a day right now, but it's not every day. It's not on Saturday and Sunday. So you got to start selling the weekends. Yeah.
And so your primary business is still content for business owners?
Yes, but it's just content under the vessel, right? So it depends on where you are. So like, let's say if someone has an offer problem, like we need to fix that. And then yes, you have your LinkedIn content or YouTube content, and you're going to be using that. And then there's going to be, the reason why we did this is because we were helping so much people just for content, and they weren't able to get the leads or close them. So they would have their own objections. And then we just said, okay, we'll teach you the offer side too, and then we'll help that. And then we'll do on the lead side, on the sales side. Because now with the agency, I'll only come in once a month with a client, and we'll talk nothing about deliverables. It will just be like long-term focus with our strategy. Where do they want their offers to be built? Okay, could we work on this? Could we work on that? You know, does that make sense? So where are you best positioned?
We're in a very similar place where we're selling content.
Yep.
But then they can't get the sales that they want because they don't invest in the system. But I struggle with when the offer becomes non-standard. You know, when you're doing bespoke because this is their problem or this is their problem.
You still have thing that you do. You do one thing, but then of course there's going to be slight adjustments to it. But I guess your team will still deliver a thing, like a deliverable, and then you'll come in with your expert's opinion, right? You have a ton of experience. You'll come in and be like, look, objectively, I would look at it this way, and they'll come to you as well. That will say things too. Say, can you have a look at this from that lens? I think that's where, even if you're not too strong on the lead side or delivery side, you might have partners, right? That's why I have like a huge companies that I connect with. Like we work very closely with a lot of the big sales companies in the world, because if I need reps, I can pull them in. And that just adds a lot of equity, right? Because as I said, offers are commodities, right? So people come in to us for the network too of just who I can connect them with, you know? Even like Lara, right? Like if I was connecting people with Lara, I could send my friends and clients that way, and then they could start working with her as well. So I think that's a big edge going into next year, is like, don't see yourself as a service delivery operator or whatever. How can everything connect?